97.3. Come on. Let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's City relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe the soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. Oh yeah. 97.3.
City 97.3.
Accra.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes. Brandy Champon's comment at a campaign event at Nsawamidu Ejuri draws widespread condemnation.
For the party leadership to always be on the alert against such utterance. Because the more they say these things, the more they create fear and panic in us. And I know that there was a time that the police will go for people on the basis of causing fear and panic.
More later on this particular one. Also coming up on Eyewitness News tonight. Minority Caucus accuses the Interior Ministry of scheming to interfere with Strategi's investigation into so-called secret recruitment into the security services. Also, NDC promises tuition-free education for first-year students and also pledges to refocus the youth ministry. This happened today at the party's youth manifesto launch in Accra. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
Mobile money transactions for first half of 2024 hit 1.2 trillion Ghana cedis.
There is more business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. In the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM in Takrady, Beach 105.5 FM also in Takrady, and Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takrady. In the Bono region, this is Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Hafo region, Hames Radio 106.5 at Gosu. In the Shanti region, Alpha Radio 104.9 FM in Kumasi, and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, Global 105.1 FM in Ho, and Adanu 107.7 FM at Adaklu Waya. In the Northern region, this is Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale. And the Upper West region, Westlink 88.1 FM at Laura. And in the Northeast region, Source 100.1 FM at Boku, and Scap 101.3 FM at Nakbanduri in the Northeast region. We take our first story with Hawa, but before then, the comments are welcome.
Campaign rally in Nsawam in the Eastern region, Mr. Champon emphasized that the National Democratic Congress (NDC) would not win the elections. The Abetifi MP indicated that the NPP has all capable hands on board who would use whatever means necessary to ensure the party's victory in the December polls.
NDC for power, 2024 abano, and now you're winning that. I'm I'm winning. I'm going to check my record. I'm winning. Now MPP Amano Kono. MPP Amano Kono. Yes, you also ever win the election. MPP. Yes, you say ever win the election. It's the enemy. Quite be asked why ever win the 2024 Amano. You ever so. You're a political party. You're a political party. Asofo Imam Forum, Omobuku Sawum. That year is ever win the election. Eti akwai bia ye be faso a ye be win the election no ye be faso. Oti asi aboko shepo ye be win the election no ni atia etuma pa ye.
So you heard the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Champon, and basically what he's been saying is that he has said a couple of times that if the NDC likes it or not, they will not win the elections. And he said he can check their records. They are not going to win. The NPP would win the elections. He said the party would do whatever it takes to win the elections. And he also said they are a political party that has pastors, imams, and traditionalists. So whatever means they have, they will take on it to win the elections, and that's, if anybody does not understand, the person should bend the sea. Meanwhile, the co-founder of the Center for Democratic Development and Governance analyst, Professor Bafwa Jumandia, says political parties should call their members to order and desist from making comment with the potential of causing fear and panic.
In the first place, this is not new. Towards every election we have had, we get some political activists making all kinds of incendiary statements, whether they are political rhetorics or whatever. We've been experiencing this. In the past, we heard of all die be die, boot for boot, and all that. So in that respect, it's not surprising. But what is a bit disturbing is that Brian Champon, who is, of course, a very fine man, this is the second time he's making such a blatant statement.
It's actually the third. He said one in 2023. This year he's made a second comment.
All right. So in that respect, it's just beginning to be consistent with him. And I think that's what provoked that reaction also from the NDC, that, well, there will be fire, you run away, all kinds of things. I think this is not healthy. It's not necessary for politicians to create fear and panic with their rhetoric towards elections. We know that every election in our country tends to experience some extreme tension. People get worried. Church people go to their churches or wherever for prayers. People fast, and all kinds of things. And I think that should be enough to inform politicians of the need to comport themselves when they are on the platform. They should not instigate anybody to think that we are going to have, tender brimstones when election comes. So I think we should ask for some kind of moderation in their rhetoric. We know that when they stand on the platform, oftentimes they forget themselves. But that's no excuse. That's no excuse at all. We are expecting responsible statements from our politicians when they get on their platforms.
I'm glad you have mentioned about calls for moderation. In this regard, should the political parties themselves be willing to call some of their members in order and try? Because if you're a party and say you put a blind eye on this, there's a likelihood that people might misconstrue it to mean the position of the party. So for peace to prevail before, during the elections, and even after, should the parties themselves take decisive actions against some of these utterances?
Yeah, excellent point. That's exactly going to be my follow-up statement. That the parties themselves, the leadership, should always call their members to order when such statements are made. And in fact, I would even suggest that they distance themselves when such statements are made by their members, so that all of us can see that as a party, there are certain principles that they respect. All right? So I think it's important for the party leadership to always be on the alert against such utterances. Because the more they say these things, the more they create fear and panic in us. And I know that there was a time that the police will go for people on the basis of causing fear and panic. So in the same way, I think the police should issue a statement to caution all the politicians as we get close to the election season to be mindful of their statements because, again, we are not ready. We don't want to have any havoc in our country. So this is an issue that we should take seriously. Look, in this particular elections, I know that both political parties are determined to win. But ultimately, only one party will win. And we have done this. This is not the first time. We've done over the past 30 years. So they should learn to lose. They should learn to win. But towards elections, we can also understand that some members of these parties will be so passionate, they may make some reckless statements. That we can understand. But not to the extent of making statements that blatantly flout the Constitution. The election laws are there, the Constitution, our Constitution is there. If you go through elections, there are processes. But I don't think there's anywhere where people are allowed to just make statements that will create fear and panic in the country. So in that respect, I will expect the party leadership themselves to begin to discipline their members who become ill.
Professor Bafo Ajumandia is a governance analyst and co-founder of the Center for Democratic Development Ghana. In that interview with my colleague Ajwa Tinkrama.
Now let's remember the politics. Now the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, has pledged to scrap academic fees for level 100 entrants in its next administration. This pledge addresses the growing concerns about the financial barriers that prevent many students from accessing tertiary education. Speaking at the launch of the NDC Youth Manifesto in Accra, campaign member Festus Achuru emphasized the party's commitment to making education more accessible and affordable. He reiterated that the NDC will prioritize education as a key focus in its administration, aiming to alleviate the financial burden on students and their families. Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, Osman Ayariga, who has been key in the crafting of the manifesto and its outdooring today, joins me on the line to help us appreciate really what the NDC is promising the youth. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Help us understand it. There is a main manifesto and there's a youth manifesto. What's the difference really? Why can't everything in the youth manifesto be subsumed under the national manifesto? Because the national manifesto more or less takes care of everybody. Why must there be a segregation? Why should there be a youth manifesto before the national manifesto?
Good evening to you, Adono, and good evening to your cherished listeners. And good evening to the good youth of this country. Good evening. I want to say Happy International Youth Day. I understand your concerns as far as the segregation of the manifesto launch is concerned. Today is the International Youth Day, and if you check, the youth constitutes almost half of the citizens of this country. And the NDC is looking at putting the youth at the center of affairs. The NDC understands the hue, cry, and plight of the youth of this country. The NDC understands that if you want to build a nation, you need to put the youth at the helm of affairs and the youth at the center of affairs. And that is why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promised that his next government is going to be a youthful government, and he would also establish a ministry for youth development. So there's nothing absolutely wrong if we decided to launch the National Youth Manifesto. It just tells you how we place so much emphasis on youth development, and for that matter, we are ready and willing to launch a manifesto purposely for the youth before we actually launch the main manifesto for the party, because the youth constitute a majority of the citizens.
Very well.
The youth have teething issues that need to be addressed.
So the key amongst the teething issue you talk about, obviously, is unemployment, or is the need to create jobs for the young people. Before we come to job creation, is it a fact really that your party is promising free how do we call it, that you will scrap academic facility user fees for level 100 entrants when you come to power? Is that the case?
Absolutely, my brother. What we promise is to implement a no-fee stress program to alleviate the financial burden on parents and students in financing tertiary education, especially. So we're looking at implementing a no academic fee policy at the university for level 100 students. Then what we also seek to do is to redeploy the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus to give continuing students the option to utilize students' loans to finance directly their university fees, to also guarantee the peace of mind of students to study. So we're looking at making sure that all level 100 students are able to enjoy no academic fees. And that is a policy the NDC is seeking to implement, inshallah, after His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wins the 2024 elections. I know people have already started asking questions so far as costing is
exactly the case, because the country is in a particular financial and economic position. So the question then is, how will you pay for that?
I'm going to that. Then my answer to you, Salom, is that it is about setting and getting your priorities right. If you're able to get your priorities right, you should be able to allocate resources to issues that are of importance to you. Now, in the last year, the academic fees for tertiary institutions hovered around 1,800 students to 2,200 in public institutions. And admissions were around 125,000 students. If you do the mathematics, we are hovering around 275 million to 300 million Ghana cedis. Then you ask yourself, how much alone was expended in the name of digging a hole for the cathedral? That was well over 330 million Ghana cedis. You ask yourself again, how much was expended in the name of bloated contracts for the president's brother, his company, over 200 million Ghana cedis. You ask yourself again, how much was expended in the name of bloated contracts for the ambulance contracts for the president's daughter and her associates? You realize that that is also way over 250 million Ghana cedis. So you realize that it is about setting your priorities right and being able to allocate proper resources to where matters most, and that is what we seek to do. So the issue of costing, you realize that what has even been spent on the cathedral, the whole name of a cathedral, will even be more than what you're seeking to spend just to make sure that over 125,000 students are cushioned or elevated or pressures that will be coming from them in the name of fees will be reduced. So you realize that it is about setting your priorities right, and that is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC seek to do in the next NDC administration.
So is this going to be on a need basis, or it's going to be for every level 100 student?
For now, it's a statement for every level 100 student. But like every policy, once you implement it, you also, as time goes on, you try to see how you can review it and look at it and make it better. But for now, it's to make sure that we're able to reduce or alleviate the pressure on every level 100 student who will be gaining admissions come next year, 2025.
Yeah, Osman, we are a poor country. Indeed, we are a broke country. Why will you want to make this free for everybody when indeed some can afford to pay? Indeed, it's been the criticism your party has had about the free SHS, that instead of making it on a need basis, the government is seeking to pay for everybody at the secondary school level, even though some can pay. So are you not then repeating the same mistake you've criticized the government for, that the free SHS is wasting money because the monies are not properly channeled? Why will you pay for everybody, including your own son or your daughter, my son, my daughter, when indeed, we can pay?
Absolutely. We are a poor country, we are a poor nation. There are so many poor people. And that is why we are saying that the policy for now is that there will be no academic fees for level 100s. But as time goes on, we are always subject to review. We are always subject to sitting down to dialogue. If it's prudent that we need to do it as and when, or who can pay or who actually needs it, that will be implemented. If it is also supposed to be subjected to some percentages, that will also be implemented. But for now, we believe that a majority of Ghanaians are suffering and government needs to step up to help them. And that is what we are seeking to do, so as not to also jeopardize quality. Don't forget that the argument also about the free SHS also has to do with the fact that the quality of education has been jeopardized. And that is why people have now turned around to have the argument that those who can pay should pay, and not only about just the fact that it shouldn't be free. It also has to do with the fact that the quality of the free SHS has been in a way jeopardized. So we are also looking at implementing the students' no academic fees for the level 100, which will always be subject to review. We'll have to listen to the experts, we'll listen to people in academia, we'll listen to parents, we'll listen to students, and we'll zoom into its proper implementation. It is not going to be done in a rush just for political expediency, but it will be looked at. But this is a policy in its form, but its implementation would go through some dialogue, it will go through some stakeholder discussion before it is implemented properly.
Very well. So we look forward to hearing more about this policy in the coming days. Also, one other key thing that affects the youth that you are seeking to proffer solutions to is unemployment. And so what's the promise of the youth manifesto on job creation and delivery of sustainable jobs to the young people?
Thank you very much. I don't know. So there are several promises so far as employment is concerned. And we are talking about creating real employment for young people. We also put in our manifesto, we're going to initiate what we call the Eyewitness program. And this is supposed to be a startup engine to facilitate the creation, tracking, and mentoring of a minimum of 10,000 young established businesses annually. This is not 10,000 employment or 10,000 jobs, 10,000 businesses that will be driven and run by the youth. As we are looking at mentoring them and training them and tracking it also, we are also looking at establishing what we call the Young Entrepreneurs Microcredit Institution. And this, we are going to have a seed fund of 750 million Ghana cedis to disburse affordable loans to young people with very low interest young people. So as young people are doing businesses, they are also being funded through very little interest loans. We are also looking at creating what we call the 1 million coders program. The 1 million coders program is seeking to train 1 million young people who would go into various programs as far as computer literacy is concerned. We're looking at web design, we're looking at programming, we're looking at anything that has to do with the internet, etc., etc. So we're looking at training 1 million young coders because you realize that now the country is shifting into a world of digitization, technology, etc., etc. So we're looking at creating jobs within that space. We're also looking at within the agri sector, what we call the Farmers Service Center. This is to support farmers, especially young farmers, by also serving as guarantees for farm inputs in the form of improved seeds, fertilizer, environmentally friendly agrochemicals, mechanized services, and top-notch agronomy services provision to the youth-led farm. We're also looking at implementing a land and farm bank project. We all understand that we say that we need to feed ourselves as a nation, but the land tenure system has made it very difficult for young people to be able to go into agriculture. So this, what we call to implement a land and farm bank project, is a structured framework to ensure young farmers have access to land, farming input, and support for animal rearing and other agricultural businesses across the supply chain in various districts.
Your Eyewitness program, how different is this from the Youth Start the government is currently running? I mean, young people, startups, etc., providing access to finance or giving them seed money to start and all of that. Is that not more or less the same as what the government is already doing with Youth Start? So why then create something else when you could fortify what is already existing to make it, more grounded to help everybody?
Well, I don't know about you, but the last time I heard, you started way back 4 or 5 years ago, and it never started. And I don't know where the You Start is. But what we are looking at doing, and this is entirely different from the You Start, the NPP said they were going to start, which never started. What we are looking at doing, and which is also key, is the fact that this is about creation, this is about tracking, this is about mentoring a minimum of 10,000 businesses. This is not just about sloganeering and putting people together that you are starting something when it actually never ever started, and it has never started. The last but not the least that I would want to talk about is the almighty game changer, which is the 24-hour economy, which is going to help the young people of this country. And it baffles us when, renowned professors, etc., academics, say that they don't understand the 24-hour economy, and for that matter, it cannot be implemented. This has been done in other countries. has been done in other economies, and it will be done in Ghana. And His Excellency tried to simplify it to the youth, telling them that this is saying that this is one job, 3 shifts, 3 people. So that brought up the formula 1-3-3. So it's one job, 3 shifts, 3 people. So instead of one person doing one job with 1 shift, which will be 8 to 5, now you have the same job, 3 people doing the same job. It's 3 different shifts. So automatically what it means is that you're going to increase the number of jobs by 2 in addition to the 1 that you already have. And this will also go a long way to help businesses in terms of taxes, how taxes will be reduced for people who would go into the 24-hour economy production, how energy would also, there'll be some rebate for energy, etc., etc. So by and large, the launching of the Youth Manifesto, I want to congratulate all the youth that came there. It was epic, it was beautiful, and it was marvelous. The youth have bought into the policy. They believe that it is time for us to come together to build the Ghana we all want to be. And that will build. And I believe you, Mr. Adono, you would also join the train to build the Ghana you also want to live in. And for us to be able to build that Ghana, you need to help the NDC, join the NDC and vote for the NDC to build the Ghana you and I want to live in, where you, Adono, can practice as a journalist without fear, where you, Adono, can practice as a journalist without any form of insecurity. That is the Ghana we all want to live in.
Very well.
My brother. Good evening to your cherished listeners.
Very well. Thank you so much, Osman Ayariga, Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, speaking to us on the launch of the party's Youth Manifesto earlier today. Indeed, President Mahama, former President Mahama, who is the NDC flag bearer, was at that event and delivering a speech. He promised to establish a separate ministry for youth empowerment and development. Let's hear him.
I'm resolute in my commitment to establish a dedicated ministry for youth development. This ministry will centralize the coordination of youth initiatives in Ghana. It will facilitate job creation. It will promote entrepreneurship. It will provide scholarships and enhance youth participation in decision making, while ensuring the effective implementation of the National Youth Authority Act.
Former President Mahama also promised to empower more Ghanaian youth by appointing more young people to government positions. He also plans to enhance the country's IT systems by extending free internet connectivity to all public institutions.
During my presidency, my government prioritized investments in youth development across various sectors, including education, skills training, health, recreation, sports, and job creation. We expanded access to skills training opportunities throughout the country, as well as to teacher and nursing training programs and tertiary education. I also purposefully appointed intelligent and hard-working young men and women to serve in my government, and they performed creditably well. Their excellent performance gives me the confidence to appoint more young people to serve in my government from January 2025, God willing, when I am voted president. My younger brothers and sisters, ICT is vital to our 24-hour economic policy. We will equip young people with digital skills and job opportunities, including the 1 million coders program that I referred to previously. The Accra Digital Center was established under my presidency to facilitate jobs for you, the young people. We will decentralize the center to other regions, and these centers will train students and unemployed graduates, enabling them to capitalize on digital job opportunities. We will work with the telecom companies to reduce data costs and deploy free Wi-Fi in all our schools and selected public places. And we have the capacity to do this. With fiber, with satellite internet, we can provide free Wi-Fi services to all our public institutions.
Mr. Dramani Mahama also added that he would introduce an aggressive policy to address the challenges facing the Ghanaian youth. He has proposed to reset the country to better meet the needs of the growing youth population if he is elected president.
Mismanagement of our economy, pervasive corruption, nepotism, and poor governance under the current administration have combined to negatively impact the youth of Ghana. Many young people are eager and ready to work, but the struggle to find employment is a huge challenge. The rising unemployment rate, which currently stands at a staggering 14.7%, was worsened by the recent banking sector cleanup, which led to widespread job losses, especially among the banking and finance professionals. Other statistics that show the dire situation of Ghanaian youth is a 21.7% youth unemployment rate. The 8 million Ghanaians who went a day without food last year, and many of them young people. And you heard about 001 and 100 and 010. And also the 1.9 million young people, youth, who are not in employment, they are not in education, and they are not in skills training. The harsh business climate has caused numerous businesses to collapse, leading to further layoffs. The ongoing crisis is fostering frustration amongst young people, increasing poverty, social unrest, and disenchantment with the whole democratic process.
So that's former President John Dramani Mahama at the launch of the NDC Youth Manifesto earlier today. We return to our first story, where the Minister for Food and Agriculture has been criticized for making some comments many feel were inappropriate.
NDC for Pell, Amun Pell, 2024 Abano, and Yadoma winning da. Amun winning. Moko check your record. Winning. Na MPP Amano Kono. MPP Amano Kono. Yes, you say you better winning election. MPP. Yes, you say you better winning election. It's the enemy. Why be asked why you better winning 2024 Amano? You better so. You're a political party. Asofo Imam Forum, Omobuku Sawum, that the other side of the winning election. Eti akwai bia yebefaswa, yebe winning election no, yebefaso. Otiazi abokoshepo, yebe winning election no, ni atia etuma pa ya.
All right, so that was Brian Champon speaking over the weekend at a campaign event at Nsawame Dredri. Brian Champon is joining us on the line to help us appreciate really why he made those comments. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Many have said that the comment you made on that political platform, given how our politics is going or is behaving, was very reckless coming from a cabinet minister. What do you say to that, sir?
First of all, let me say a big greetings to your listeners. And you say many. Can you send me the survey result that says many are unhappy with what I said? I don't think that is the case.
No, I don't think we did a survey report to say this. I mean, we collate views, we speak to people. And so many feel that the comments you made were not appropriate for the session.
Some few, not
because we've spoken to quite a number of people, and many of them think so.
You have to do a proper sampling to say many.
Very well. I won't belabor that, but just go ahead. There are some who feel that your comments were inappropriate, given the sensitive position you hold and everything you stand for. These comments were inappropriate. What do you say to that?
Well, I think that the MPP is going to win the election. I think that the MPP is going to employ every strategy known in politics to win the elections. And in Ghana, the ways of winning elections are known to every political party. The NDC stands to win an election. This afternoon, they held a press conference to denigrate the government, tell lies that 9 million youth are unemployed in the country, which is not true. And they say all these things. And that is the way that they are doing everything possible to win the elections. The MPP is also doing work on the ground in the government, every sector of the economy, every sector of governance. We believe that we have done well comparatively to the NDC when they were in power. We have looked at the statistics, what caused us to lose some of the seats in 2020. Reconciliation issues in constituencies, for example, such as Ayenswano, where Akufo-Addo president won by 5,000 votes, and then our candidate lost by 240 votes. And the issue was internal party fighting. We have been able to solve all these our problems, and we believe that with the numbers that we have and the numbers that NDC has, they also know that, for example, they will not win. The parliamentary majority is clear to us, is clear to them, except for 4 seats that we are both parties are fighting, in this case, to win 2024. Even if they get all those 4 seats, it will not change anything that the NPP will win a parliamentary majority. We've done the numbers across the country, and it's clear that if voting is to take place today, the NPP will win the presidential election. The NDC cannot win the election. So I'll give you some facts, young man.
Yes, so these facts are well and good, but we're speaking about how you communicated to the masses, on that day. So when you tell average people and young people and all of those, that we will use every means possible, so you will win the election. What really do you think, you were communicating to the young people, given the context of violence, etc.?
There's no violence anywhere. You are putting violence in the heads of people. We are in this country when the NDC told us that they will never give us the presidential seat. And if we want a seat, we should go to Anwanga and get the carpenters to carve something out for us to sit on. Were we not in this country? What happened? March, nothing happened. In March of this year, Omani Buama doctor came and told us that they will win the election by 57.3% and that they are going to fight to win that political power. The NDC assume that their fight to win political power, meaning that there's going to be unrest in this country, that the fight, these are figures of speech, you let it pass, we move on with our lives. We were in this country where in May, Asiedun Ketia came and told us that the NDC is certain that they are going to win 52% of the votes. Did you see NDC jumping on tables saying that they have, because of what they have planned to do, that is why they know that they are going to win by 50? He said they were certain that they will win by 52%. Omani Buama said they were going to fight for political power and get 57.3%. What did the NPP say? Nothing, because we know that some of these talks, they are just for nothing. When the NDC said that we should go and carve our own stool and sit on, they will never give us the presidential seat. What did we do? We know winning in elections in this country. We know how it is won. It is won at the polling station. Okay, ballots are collated, and every party will put in strategies, including the press conference that they held today. Whatever they want to do to win the election is what they are doing. And then for the MPP, whatever we have to do to win the election is what we will do. At the end of the day, the votes will be cast, it will be counted, and the winner will be declared. So how come when they say something, there's nothing wrong, and then when I say that we will win the election, somebody says, why would I say that we will win the election? Why can't we win an election? Are we not a political party?
You say that whichever means you use to win the elections, you will do, and the phrase "whichever means" is what is raising eyebrows. If you say that maybe you are going to work hard, you are working hard, you are putting in place policies, etc., and you leave it at that, that will be easy for people to take. But if you say whatever means possible, whichever means possible, that is where the issue is, and whichever means possible could mean whatever.
I can understand the point that you're making, but what are the possible ways of winning elections in this country? Tell me, what are the possible ways of winning elections in this country?
People could win election through intimidation. People could win election through rigging the process. People could do a lot of things.
Who has done so? Has in your political life in Ghana, is it not the MPP that has taken NDC to court for rigging elections? Do we have that record? The MPP does not have records of rigging elections. We took the NDC to court. Who has the
NDC also took you to court in 2020.
No, please. To prove, to go and eat cream crackers and chew cream crackers and prove no point. We clean sheets to court. Okay, so we don't have records of rigging elections. We have records of good governance. We have records of serving the people well. We have records of delivering in our constituencies, and we have the core numbers to win an election. That is clear and simple. The NDC say that they will win the election by 57%, by 52%. They will fight to win political power, and we should go and carve our own students. I'm not even trying to compare. What I'm saying is that this alleged information is a creation that I am not a part of. I'm talking to my party base, which we know that we have more than 50%, and I have to charge them to give assurances that we're going to win the elections, we're going to govern this country properly. We're going to continue to provide jobs. We're going to continue to construct roads, and we're going to deliver on the mandate and value to the people. That is what we stand for. We don't stand for violence. We don't stand for rigging elections. And so if somebody...
But you see, when you're talking to young people and you tell them that whichever means possible, or you use whichever means, to win the elections, there's a direct, a translation from that. Said, so whichever means we will use to win the 2024 elections, we will use it. That is uncapped. That leaves room for everybody's imagination. One would expect that, given the fact that you have a platform, your speech would have been a bit more seasoned.
But I thought it was. Because the party base that I was talking to were very, very excited. So it was very, very seasoned.
They will be excited because they are hearing from their leader. The more reason why...
I am talking to... Salam.
Go ahead.
I am talking to my party people. I cannot stand on that platform and say that, Charlie, my guys, the elections are going to be hard. We are going to be, the NDC is likely to win, and this and that and that. What am I supposed to do? And I didn't charge them to go on the street and cause demonstrations or fight or do this and that and that. That is not what I did. I just assured them that we're going to win the elections, and the only way we know how to win elections since 2000. The only way that we know how to win elections is legal, credible ways of getting the people to vote for us and the Electoral Commission announcing their results. We don't know any way else to win elections.
I see. So given that your comment is generating some disquiet, would you say that given the opportunity the next time you would have choosing your words better? I say this on the background that, this about the third time or so, your speech at a party event, also in the Eastern region, is causing such controversy. Is it about time that maybe next time you re-looked at your choice of words or the approach you use in charging your base?
Look, it is not everything that I say that will make people happy, but I can understand that if saying that we will use any means necessary to win the elections. Next time when I get on the platform, I will assure them that we will win the election, and so they should wait till the votes are counted. If that is going to satisfy you, and the few that you have interviewed and are worried, I don't have a problem with it.
A co-founder of CDD, who is also, I think, the chief executive of the Kufuor Foundation, Professor Ajimandia, finds your comments as well quite distasteful, and he thinks that institutions of state like